Thank you very much. First, my apology, I'll be a bit late because I just came in from overseas last night, so unfortunately I cannot make it on time. I have to attend 3 more meetings this morning. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for inviting me, and to Tan Sri Michael, thank you very much for organizing this and allow me to say a few words, a piece of my mind on certain subject. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. All, if not most of us here, know that Sarawak is focusing on the rapid development, and one of the ways toward a better future is by harnessing what is already here in our state. With assets like mountains, abundant rainfall, our state is able to develop hydroelectric dam. With ample sunshine, we have the option to select solar energy as an alternative source of renewable energy in Sarawak. Located within the equator, we are one of the few countries in the world that is able to grow palm oil, which is not only give us biofuel, but also biomass as well biogas from its waste. Sarawak has embarked on a whole new chapter of producing renewable energy. Reducing carbon footprint and making Sarawak as a destination for high energy consumption industry in the world. The Sarawak Corridor of Renewable Energy, or SCORE, will be the key driver for Sarawak to transform itself into a modern industrialized region from a state dependent on subsistence agriculture. Now into its second phase of development, SCORE has attracted more than 73.3 billion investment from both private as well as private sector. The latest investment being a steel manufacturing plant with a capacity of 10 million tons per annum, with billions of ringgit by China Metallurgical Corporation, which will expected to commence construction by the middle of next year. As part of the efforts to accelerate the development of SCORE hinterland, the state government has set up 3 development agencies under Recorder. They are Upper Rajang Development Agency, URDA, Highland Development Agency, UDA, and Northern Regional Development Agency, NRDA. 6 economic trigger projects, namely agriculture, tourism, forestry, palm oil, rubber, and biotechnology has been identified for SCORE hinterland, which is endowed with abundant natural resources. Ladies and gentlemen, when we talk about renewable energy, we talk about sustainability, and when we talk about sustainability, we have to look at the push-pull factors affecting the efficacy of the whole delivery chain. In other words, the whole ecology system, from how the energy is produced and how the energy is transmitted and consumed, will need to be studied in a greater detail. With Sarawak government moving towards public transportation powered by electricity, the worldwide phenomenon of replacing conventional passenger vehicles to electric vehicles means utility companies worldwide have in tandem with the needs of its consumers. I beg your pardon. Will have to move in tandem with the needs of its consumers. The move toward electrification of mobility means the demand for electricity consumption will be more unpredictable than before. When consumers charge their cars, when the consumers charge their cars at fast charging stations, electricity load within the grid will become highly volatile, and the balanced system is therefore required. Manufacturers and industrial organizations are particularly vulnerable to power anomalies. For industries that produce electronic, food and drink, pharmaceutical and biotechnology, a power outage lasting seconds can mean much more than a monetary lapse in production. The second loss in power can cause serious damage to sensitive equipment, machinery, final products, materials, and ensuing restart can be incredibly time-consuming and very expensive. Power outages, decline, and surges still represent one of the biggest threats to manufacturers and industrial facilities around the world. Increased level of automation in the modern industry mean that we have negative impact of power cuts is greater now than ever before, ladies and gentlemen. The key word in attracting high energy consumption industry besides pricing is therefore power security. Brutality and intermittency nature of renewable energy requires is a hurdle that we must overcome if Sarawak is to become one destination where high energy consumption industries choose to invest their plan in. Sun energy, which solar depends on, is not available at the time, at not all times. Besides sunshine and cloud, pollution such as haze, which hit Sarawak earlier this month, can substantially affect the performance of how much sunlight a solar panel can absorb. In order to offer customers power stability, utility industry and other parts of the world no longer relies on conventional principle of instantaneous supplying demand. Energy is now converted and transmitted in parallel to demand. Large-scale energy storages are being deployed as part of the electrical power grid infrastructure with the purpose of minimizing the impact of sudden load changes and fluctuations. The battery storage will release stored energy when there is a surge in consumption and continue storing energy during off-peak consumption period within the grid. Based on the report by Wood Mackenzie's Power and Renewables, China is increasing its storage capacity from 843 megawatt hours in 2017 to 30.1 gigawatt hours in 2024. Ahead of China, Korea is still leading with annual cumulative energy storage of 1.98 gigawatt hours. Like the rest of the sector, global energy market in the rest of the world, including Peninsular Malaysia, are facing major changes, are slowly moving away from the model with centralized city generation and large power plant to a decentralized energy model with main energy producers are supported by producing by small facilities. Energy unit being transactive unit means energy is no longer utility but commodity. Technology advancement in cyber physical systems, the Internet of Things and artificial intelligence has blurred the roles between energy producers, distributors, and consumers. The trend of sharing economy means market is no longer the way it was. Sharing economy has seen the phenomenon of Grab driver and air, where members of the community plays an interchangeable roles of acquiring, providing, trading, and selling of goods and services via connected network. Sharing economy focuses on sharing of underutilized assets and allow the asset to be used by other members of the community, thus reduce wastages and increase productivity of the community. Sharing economy means consumers today are no longer passive. An interconnected system will allow consumers to acquire, to own, to provide, to store, and to share energy as commodity. The concept of energy sharing is to meet individual consumers' energy needs and to sell excess energy within the sharing community when a particular consumer produces more electricity than she or he needs, which has given rise to a new phenomenon known as prosumer. You produce, you consume. In Netherlands, Germany, and Singapore, and countless of other countries, for instance, the emergence of smart grid has allowed consumers to generate their own renewable energy that they have option to sell back into the grid based on dynamic value pricing. With this encourages individual households to invest in their own small-scale renewable plants. The sharing economy will also allow for extra energy supply into grid without need for the state government to maintain and bear the operational costs. And this small power plant then generate extra electricity. In other parts of the world, ladies and gentlemen, in order to propel industrial development, industrial prosumers are encouraged to accelerate deployment of renewable energy by producing biogas with food and livestock waste in their agricultural industrial operation. Industrial prosumer will not only experience reducing manufacturing costs due to reduction in energy prices, but also be able to sell the excess energy generated to the nearby community or into the grid. On the same token, based on concept of shared economy, in areas without electricity grid, agro-industrial consumers can act as an energy producers, offering local energy benefit to the surrounding community by adding electricity into the product line. This will enable local business to grow in areas where development of electricity grid is previously cost prohibitive. At the same time, high energy consumption industries will see the benefit of significant long-term operational saving when investing in Sarawak. As we talk about competitive edge, the price of each kilowatt of renewable energy is getting cheaper by the year internationally. According to the new data released by Forbes, the cost of renewable energy that tumbled to the point where almost every source of energy, every source of green energy can now compete costs with oil, coal, and gas-fired power plants. According to the Times, with energy that used to be 3 cents per kilowatt in Mongolia has fallen to 1.5 cents per kilowatt today. As the prices of renewable energy is getting cheaper, liberalization of energy sector in other parts of the world will mean that long-term and operating high energy consumption industries in the countries might be cheaper and become more attractive in Sarawak. A regional connected electric grid known as Asian Supergrid, AGS, is already being planned to reduce the region risk of power outages. Backed by Northeast Asian countries such as China, Mongolia, Russia, Korea, and Japan, the Asian Supergrid initiative will see building of an ocean flow power network connecting electricity to these countries. By connecting to external sources of energy via supergrid as safeguard, countries can look forward to achieve higher energy security by insulating themselves from impact caused by natural disaster and their energy supply. Japan, Fukushima Daiichi nuclear meltdown, in South Korea 2011 heatwave serial blackout are just some examples of such unfortunate incidences. With Asia Supergrid being planned, the idea of grouping Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, and Philippines as part of Southeast Asia cluster of Asia Supergrid might come true. Already selling electricity to the West Kalimantan since 2016, Sarawak is now driving the initiative of Trans-Borneo Grid within the supply electricity to Brunei and Sabah. To be able to fit in the large regional picture, being the central power of Asian Supergrid, Sarawak has to reinvent itself and be the forefront of the energy sector. Sarawak's resources and strategically advantageous geographical location should result in us playing a critical role within the region's up and downstream supply chain. Because of the potential national and international advantages associated with being part of Asian Supergrid, being participating entity, Sarawak must pursue domestic and energy efficiency by electricity infrastructure modernization so as to reduce the required cost and impact of being part of Asian power grid infrastructure. To be able to attract high energy consumption industries into Sarawak, Sarawak has to look beyond power generation, beyond power from storage reduction, to concept of smart grid with integration of virtual power plant for greater efficiency. To catch up with the world trend, our business model for energy sector has to evolve. Policy improve and our grid redesign. So, ladies and gentlemen, with this word, I end my speech. I wish you all the best for this seminar. Thank you very much.